I really like Alan Watts. I
I
really like,
love Alan Watts.
and he said, if anyone listening to this show wants a very cool assignment, go to YouTube and put in Alan Watts chill step. There's about 10 to 15 chill step videos, not even videos, they're just chill step music with a little bit of Alan Watts sprinkled in there every 2 or 3 minutes, and it's awesome. And so Alan Watts, he's the greatest Zen teacher the West has ever known and will ever know, for a variety of reasons. And
I can agree to that.
Yeah. And he said, so leader, I want that to be like the ninth thing. I don't even want it to be the ninth thing I'm known for. If it's something I'm known, who cares? Because I don't see myself like that. I go back and forth, and I'm going to take a page out of Alan Watts' book, and he goes, even before being a teacher, because that's how I see myself, I'm an entertainer. Right. And I thought, trust me, I've noodled on that one. I'm like, that dude called himself an entertainer before he was a teacher. And so someone with the what I would consider, well, it's not that I do consider the importance of what he was talking about, and the history, the lineage, the rich history of Zen and Taoist thinking, and Confucianism. I can't even say that word. Who cares? And for him to say that me being an entertainer is more important than me teaching this, that told me everything I need, and I didn't need to hear this again. Taught me everything or it reminded me. There's the word.
There you
everything
go.
I needed to know or be reminded of when it comes to learning.
Welcome to Ignite the Spark Within, a podcast designed to do just that. Ignite your spark within you. I'm your host, Sarah Malone, owner of Spark Fitness and Lifestyle Coaching, and voted Yahoo Finance's top 10 female coaches to follow in 2021. I believe everyone has a fire inside them, a powerful purpose, a story waiting to be told, and everyone can uncover and unleash this power. Every day you have the choice to either let your experiences shape you or take control and use your experiences to shape the world around you. You were made to experience happiness, freedom, joy, purpose, love, passion, and abundance. Disrupt the status quo, think for yourself, and join forces with those around you doing the same. Join me for thought-provoking conversations along with the strategies needed in order to help you ignite your spark within. All right, so we're going to start with your Amish impersonation.
Well, hello, Sarah. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic, Amos. How are you?
I'm doing very well myself. Thank you. Thank you for asking. I see your internet has improved since last time.
Yes, we've done some work. We've made some adjustments here in the RV.
Oh, isn't that nice? Did you have a lovely time on the July 4th event?
Oh, yes, we had a lovely time. We saw a bald eagle fly right above our tent, camping in the woods like good old-fashioned Americans.
Oh, isn't that nice? So you spent time with family members?
With my significant other.
Oh, that is lovely. That's very lovely. So I've been hanging out with Amish people, everybody. I live in Buckingham County in Virginia, which is it's a rural, and we've had over the past 3 years. My name is Mark. Over 60. It started a while ago, but the past 3 years, there's been a major influx of Amish families into the county. We have 67 Amish families in the county, and one of the baller Amish people who owns the hardware store lives on our road. I mean, we're 10 minutes outside of a one stoplight town, and the Amish school for the kids is on our road. So 4 days a week, I'd drive past and there's, 40, 50 Amish kids out there playing around.
So
It's super cute.
So in Montana, have you been to Montana?
No.
They're big. The Hooterite community is big out there, which is very similar. Yes, exactly. Which is very similar to
Hooterites.
The Amish. They're very similar. They make all their own things. They have their own communities. They wear the bonnets and they sew all their clothes. They make all their food, their soap, everything. I think there's just a slight difference between Amish and Hooterites. One wears deodorant and one does not.
I know which one doesn't.
You guys, welcome back to the show. I am so honored and excited for a returning guest, Mark England. 2 years ago is when Mark and I first met. Mark is a TEDx speaker, co-founder and head coach of the Enlifted Method, the Enlifted Coaches. I'm honored to say that I use this method with all of my clients, as well as in intertwining it with my retreat, the program that I've created for my retreats. So this has been something that as soon as it was introduced to me, felt like I've been using my whole life, but finally there was a structure to it. Not only that, but the community that Mark has built, I like to call him a Merlin. He's kind of a genie of creating community and connecting people. And that is how he's connected me with so many of the podcast guests that you've heard on my show. And we stayed connected over these past 2 years, and not to mention some other pivotal relationships in my life. So, Mark, welcome back to my show.
Thanks for having me back on, Sarah.
You've been up to a lot, Mark.
That's very true. That's very true. And there's several reasons for that. You know who posted something about abracadabra this morning?
Who?
Russell Brand.
Interesting.
Russell Brand. And
By the way, for everybody who's watching on the YouTube, this is what Mark does with me. This is what we do. We walk and we talk.
Yeah. So when I say I'm out in the sticks, I mean it.
Literally.
That's the entrance. And then if you keep going down that road, we get down to the bottom where we got we got a range down there.
Hey, is this the lake house?
No, this is the farm. So I'm going to go inside so we have even better connection.
Oh, fantastic.
Because we got we're on about 120 acres, and the guys that take care of the grounds, they just showed up. So we're gonna have better connection, and it's gonna be even quieter. And then we can talk about what I've been up to and what you've been up to and all the good stuff, because it takes some time to pull some cool stuff off,
Well, if you want it to last, it does.
Yeah, there's no way around the reps, folks.
Yeah.
There really isn't. Yeah, so out of the stuff that I've been up to, Sarah, what would you like me to get into and elaborate on and talk about?
Well, one of the things I do want to talk about with you is this building of a massive community that I've watched happen before my very eyes. And I also do want to touch on not only the reps, but the seeing the long vision rather than an immediate return, especially with the world of social media that we live in, which can be so tempting to get caught up in that immediate, like likes, followers, influence, like grow it rapidly. Right. But I also want to talk about what some people don't understand, the side of leadership and creating a community, the pros and cons, and in a way, kind of a burden a mantle, I would rather call it, not a burden, because that sounds negative in connotation, the mantle of leadership in creating a community. And I know you know this.
Yeah. I'm going to sound like every other person that talks about this. Having a good why is important. Having a good why is important. I'll use something specific. So I I had an Instagram account once upon a time.
Oh yeah, we all remember that Instagram account, Mark England.
I still get people asking me to come back. I'm like, if you were there, you were there. So I had
we were there.
You were there. If I had an Instagram account once upon a time. Oh, by the way, the Amish are the control group.
What do you mean?
There's no autism there.
Interesting, Mark.
Yeah. And I'm right in the middle of it. I don't need anyone to tell me shit.
Yeah.
Because I can see it. I see the kids running around. They're all there's no kids that are like 1 pound overweight.
Yeah.
They are perfectly healthy children.
Do you know how they live? Do you know how their communities are set up?
Well, I didn't know this was a big deal until I shared it with my stepmom. When I went over there to purchase the share of the cow so I could get raw milk, I was invited in their house to sit down and write out the contract. And I've been over there numerous times, and I've been in their house twice. And Amos and I wouldn't call us boys, but it's like I like seeing him and he likes seeing me. I don't know how I know a little bit about it. Yeah.
So their communities are set up kind of like heaven would be. They help each other out. They rely on each other. They make things for each other. They buy, sell, and trade within their community. They literally have their own self-sustaining community. They don't need the outside world. They homeschool their kids. They have their own little ruling and government system. It's like how we all should be operating. So no wonder there's no overweight children or autistic children, or
they don't know what COVID is. None of them got it.
And they wouldn't know because they don't watch television.
It's a wild conversation. They're the control group, and nobody talks about that.
Wow, I love this conversation.
Oh yeah, and you know what? It's 500 yards down the road from me.
Isn't it so strange that it's like not strange, but it's almost awesome, like awe-inspiring, that they've been able to live in the world but not of it in an extreme way.
Well, they're playing by the rules. I go over there. I've been over to the Oak Hill Dairy. That's where Amos's place is, and they've got 5-6 kids, and I've seen 15 kids over there before, and they're all none of them have shoes on. They're all playing around outside in the dirt, stuff like that, and oh, Mark. No, I didn't get double jabbed and triple boosted. No, never even had to think about it.
So innocent.
Too busy working.
They're so pure and innocent.
Yeah. What's a Moderna?
They played by
Pfizer
the rule. Who? Yeah. In some ways, I wish we were all that ignorant, right? In that regard, I usually say ignorance is not bliss, ignorance is pain. But in that regard, I say ignorance is bliss because of the way that they are living. They don't care about when you said they live by the rules, I actually was shocked, but I understood what you mean. They live by the rules of nature, how we were designed to live. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Hey kid, go outside and eat some dirt.
So let me ask you something. How long have you known about the Amish people in your community?
Not that long.
Okay. I was wondering if there was any correlation to like you community building and then observing their.
Zero.
Okay.
Zero. So back to the Instagram account. I was like, what, this is in 2019 summer.
Was it 2019 already?
It was 2019 when I made a decision with my Instagram account. And this is significant for a number of reasons. I think I had like 900 followers on there. And I'm like, well, here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to take pictures of my acai bowls and talk about how mind-blowing they are. And then, like, and all that other dumb shit. It's like, I'm going to turn this, right? I'm going to turn this into a school. It's like, okay, so what's that going to look like? I'm going to make a bunch of language posts. So it's going to be about 80% teaching, and then 20%, because I get into some interesting things, and
Yes, you do.
yeah. So there's an entertainment factor, which is important when it comes to building a community. People can't be bored, right? They need to be entertained, and they need value, and there needs to be that spark, that X factor.
Oh, thanks for using Spark there.
Gotcha. I knew you'd catch that.
Plug.
And so when I was like, okay, well, this is a free language school, and the thing started picking up, and right around, so that was in July of 2019, and we did not intend on creating a community at the time. We were selling individual coaching packages, workshops, and an online course, and that's how we were paying the bills. And then by staying on the scene, I got an opportunity to speak at Mike Bledsoe's the original Strong Coach Mastermind, and what he was selling was a year-long mastermind to the mastermind, and 12 people signed up, and he goes, I want you to certify them in Enlifted. I want that to be the first 3 months. I was like, I know exactly what to do. And so we did, and that kept going, and it took us a little while to realize what was happening, because this was a new thing, this was a new product, and I come from a teaching background. I've got a master's degree in education. I was a teacher before I got into this line of work.
I actually didn't know that about you, Mark.
Yeah. I was an elementary school sports teacher. I've got a degree in teaching, and so that's what I was doing before the language stuff.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I just knew what to do, and so I love this work, the language and the story game, language, story, breath, and then having been a teacher, I was like, okay, cool, super easy fit. And it took us. We're now on group 37, level 1.
Wow.
And it took us like group 5, group 6, because people kept saying, I want to do this. And because people were talking about it, they're like, oh, that was very impactful. They told their friends. You know how much money we've spent on advertising to date?
Probably none.
$0.
Yep.
0. It's been word of mouth and podcasts and events. So once this thing took off and we realized what it was, the community was already building itself. Now here's my thing when it comes to sales. When it comes to sales, don't sell. Explain what it is. Don't get on there and be a dork and try to use some stupid sales strategies.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just get on there and be yourself and breathe well and ask questions about the person who's your potential client. Tell them what it is. Make sure they know exactly what it is, and then I've never told anyone that they should take any of our certifications.
I believe that,
and I never will. What I do is tell them about what it is, what they can expect, and then that the rest is their business. And so it's the same thing with creating a community and being a leader, which I find that word weird.
What leader?
Yeah, the one of the reasons why the Enlifted community is what it is because Adam and I never wanted to do it. Adam and I we did not set out to be leaders or build a community. It's this thing we're like, okay, got to figure this out now. Get to figure this out now. We'll do our best. We're going to do it reluctantly. I've told some people that run leadership immersions, and it ruffled their feathers a little bit. And I don't care. I told them it's not the truth, but I told them my truth, my opinion about the thing. I was like, anybody that sets out to be a leader because they want to be a leader, they're crazy. They're crazy, and it's not going to work. It's not going to. 99% of the time, it's not going to work because why? You want people to follow you. Why? It's
But
like,
here's the thing. That's an oxymoron. The statement that says, I want to be a leader is an oxymoron. The nature of a good, effective, and true leader is one that just is.
yeah,
And just because of their being, people want to not necessarily follow, but it inspires them to be more of themselves. Like, you don't want people to follow you. I don't want people to follow me. Say, I want to be more like Sarah. No, you don't. You want to be more like you. You want to inspire people to become more of who they were created to be, which leads me to a great question, Mark. And I've always wondered this about you, is what is your why? Because you started as a teacher, right? And then this is
yeah,
why I'm assuming this is where some of your humor and playfulness comes from. Because if you're teaching elementary school children, you've got to have a sense of play and humor to keep them engaged in the learning. Plus, we know, and my listeners know this by now after listening to my episodes, that our state that we're in when we're taking in information will definitely dictate how much we absorb. So if we're in a state of play, well, actually, I'll double down on that. The way children learn is through play. Growing equals playing equals learning. It's the same thing to them. So, you discover that, you got the play, the teaching, and then this method comes along, and then the community. So like, what is your why? And I want to understand how you balance the difference between just stumbling upon it and reluctantly following what the people want, and also intentionally creating something, because there's got to be both, right?
yeah. It's uh, you got to be able to see what's next. You got to be able to see what's next / where the thing could go, and take into consideration what people want, what would be the ideal target outcome or path for the community to take. And then also a good slice or segment of going on your hunches, your intuition. Yeah. And then also look at the big picture 0.1% of the time, or 1% of the time, and triple down on the right now. Triple down on the right now, triple down on the this week, triple down on the next week, triple down on this quarter. And so one of the reasons why this community works is because I get up and I put a lot of hours on the clock. I put a tremendous amount of hours, professional hours on the clock. Just and it's one of the reasons I feel, it's the only reason I feel comfortable. One of the reasons I feel comfortable giving people the kind of advice that I do outside of the method, when it comes to creating our own opportunity and fucking going for it.
Because you do it.
Because I do it.
Yeah.
I absolutely do it. And there's no
And
question.
guys, I've seen
Everybody
it, by
knows.
the way. Yeah. There's really no hiding it.
Yeah.
In either way, whether if you do or you don't, it's very apparent. Yeah.
For sure. And it's like the general that leads the charge versus the person that's in the tent, looking at a map 5 miles behind the lines, safe, never been in a fight in their life. Okay. That's a joke. No, my hands are dirty. And I put I put up some hours. I put up some numbers. This is my 352nd podcast that I've been on. I'm going to do 1,000.
352. You're going to do 1,000, then you're going to stop.
Yeah. I'm going to leave that. Yes. And I'm going to leave that last one for Rogan. If we haven't done Rogan by $9.99, I'm going to leave it for him. And here's the I like it when things are over. And I like leaving when things are good, if that makes sense.
Like when you left Instagram.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. That was, and at that time I was head of sales. I was head of sales for Vocabulary and Enlifted for 6 years. And we were doing 6 figures off of a 2,800 person Instagram account. And right around that same time, Kimberly came in and took over. So there was a variety of, it was perfect timing. And I was just like, man, fuck these people.
Yeah.
Like, fuck this.
I told you last time we talked, I'm about at that point too, where it's just, I'm so disengaged now. I had to develop a different relationship with it, right? I had to understand what I was there for and where my place is, and also get to a point of my own self-assuredness where it didn't matter. Like, it's just a part of being able to connect with people. It's not the way. And the true way is really connecting in person and face to face with people. I want to just circle back super quick to the leadership aspect, and say, this is what I see happening with the word leader. I feel like, and I see that people misunderstand the word leader, and they think it has this prestige to it, and like there's a hierarchy, and there are hierarchies in the world, right, in life. But being a leader is not like, I want to be a leader. Like, most of the reality of what leadership is what you just described: being in the trenches, getting your hand dirty, seeing all of the things, seeing the near and the far, and then being able to live in the present. And what is required is to do your own work.
Yep.
To sift through your own stories, to do your healing, to grow. And most people see leadership as what we have in our authority figures now, which is just the iron fist and having power, not so much impact and vision. And so I will call you a leader, because that is what you are. It was important for me to understand. I struggle with that, Mark. I struggle with looking at the big picture too much.
We're not taught this stuff in school. We're not taught this stuff in school. We're not taught. I didn't have one class in any kind of leadership training. I mean, nothing. Right. And what quality, what kind of quality would it have been? Who knows? And it's a major figure it out as you go.
Yes.
Thing. And backing up to when I was getting off Instagram, I was like, I just said this about 2 minutes ago. I was like, fuck these people. I wasn't talking about my followers at all. They were great. What I was referring to is the people that were starting to shadow ban me and block my account. And I was like, listen, I know where this goes, and I'm going to go ahead and nuke this account, because I'm not shutting up about this. And yeah, so I really like Alan Watts. I
love Alan Watts.
And he said, if anyone listening to this show wants a very cool assignment, go to YouTube and put in Alan Watts chill step. There's about 10 to 15 chill step videos, not even videos, they're just chill step music with a little bit of Alan Watts sprinkled in there every 2 or 3 minutes, and it's awesome. And so Alan Watts, he's the greatest Zen teacher the West has ever known and will ever know, for a variety of reasons. And
I can agree to that.
Yeah. And he said, so leader, I want that to be like the ninth thing. I don't even want it to be the ninth thing I'm known for. If it's something I'm known, who cares? Because I don't see myself like that. I go back and forth, and I'm going to take a page out of Alan Watts' book, and he goes, even before being a teacher, because that's how I see myself, I'm an entertainer.
Right.
And I thought, trust me, I've noodled on that one. I'm like, that dude called himself an entertainer before he was a teacher. And so someone with the what I would consider, well, it's not that I do consider the importance of what he was talking about, and the history, the lineage, the rich history of Zen and Taoist thinking, and
Yes.
Confucianism. I can't even say that word. Who cares? And for him to say that me being an entertainer is more important than me teaching this, that told me everything I need, and I didn't need to hear this again. Taught me everything or it reminded me. There's the word.
There you
everything
go.
I needed to know or be reminded of when it comes to learning. Yeah, because you nailed it on the head. Kids learn when they play, and it's when people are in stress responses, they don't learn well because they don't listen well. It's very common. It's to be expected. It's more than common. So when there's strife and grief in the home, and a kid comes to school and they're all stressed out, their grades go down. Why?
Oh.
Because their breath is trapped in their chest, because they're in their head about what's happening at home. And when the breath is trapped in the chest, it's called amygdala hijack. Our ability to listen tanks, and that is directly correlated to our ability to learn and retain information, is how well we're breathing. And so, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a big thing. It's a big part. It's a big thing.
Yeah. Because you've got a separate conversation going on in your head. How can you take in new information when you've got a whole conversation in the background?
Yeah, depending on the severity of it. I mean, you might have zero mental real estate for anything else.
Absolutely.
The scenario just hijacks your head and lights it on fire.
Yeah. Because you notice, I mean, and anybody who follows me, you probably by now, and if you're a new follower of my show or my contents, you're going to follow Mark in the Enlifted community now, but it's a lot of humor. It's a lot of funny, and it's a lot of fun. And that is why, aside from the fact that you learn better in that state, it provides people a feeling. So we're all searching for feelings. Like, that's what we're doing. We're searching for a feeling in order to understand if we're okay, or if things are okay, or just even to just feel good, right? The bare minimum, just to feel good. And so when you include humor in the learning process of this story work, which is a beautiful process, by the way, it's so simple. It's almost like, could it be this easy? And it's like, yes. The answer is yes. The answer is always yes. Anyhow, how does your spirituality play a role in all of this, and your evolution of your spirituality? Because you are very spiritual. I mean, spending time with you in Virginia on a couple different occasions, I see it, and anyone who knows you knows that you are spiritual. How has this affected your community building, or even just what you do?
See, I don't know what that means. I don't know what spirituality means. I've read some books about it.
More so your relationship with spirituality, because everything is spiritual, right? We're all spiritual, but your understanding of it and your relationship.
Yeah. And that's a real statement. That's not me trying to be some smart ass about it.
I know.
And because I know I can't understand it, I ignore it on purpose. And it's going to be there whether I want it to be there or not. That's how I see it. And so what I can speak to is, and this is a tremendous piece of the community. Unintentional. I can't take credit for it. It is there, and it is what it is my attraction to this work, my interest and my attraction, and my fascination with this work. I fell in love on sight in 2003 when I saw it for the first time. And it took me, and this brings up an interesting point. I'm assuming that your listeners will like this. This is a relevant tangent. I didn't know it when I saw it. I knew I loved it when I saw it, and I knew it was interesting when I saw it. I didn't know what it was going to be for me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I only knew what it was once I put 10 years of professional effort into it, 10 years full time on the clock, working with people, researching, presenting, and teaching about it. And so what that brings up is and I can't take credit for that. I can't take credit
Mm-hmm.
for the attraction. You can't talk yourself out of being attracted to someone.
Yep.
You can't talk yourself into being attracted to someone.
Yes.
You can't talk yourself out of being interested in a subject. You can't
Yep.
talk yourself into being interested in it's a gift from the cosmos.
Yep.
And if it's there, it's there. And if it's not, go somewhere else and do something else. And so I was on the hippie scene for a while, and I watched a lot of people beat themselves over the head with the statement, I need to find my purpose.
Yes.
I need to find my purpose.
Yep.
And no, I mean, and it would really stress them out. I saw people cry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, there's something going on there with the words. Let me put it through the tumbler. Let me stare at it. And I went back and reviewed my process or my experience with this thing. And I was like, okay, well, first things first, why is there only one? Why is there only one?
Like it's a destination to get to.
Yeah. Yeah. And remember what I said a couple minutes ago, and you'll know it as your true purpose when you see it for the first time. That's not how it works usually. Here's how it works.
You get trickles.
Exactly.
You get breadcrumbs.
Exactly. So here's the formula. This which is superior in my personal and professional opinion to I need to find my purpose, is explore your interests,
Mm-hmm.
develop your passions, and commit to your purposes. What are you interested in? I did this exact same. No, this is an exercise you can implement. I did this with a client last week, as in I had them list out their interests.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And an interest is something that you're interested in and haven't done all that much with. Let's say you've been the last 6 months, you've been reading a little bit about this, or you've been taking jujitsu classes for the past 3 months, and it's interesting. Okay. What do you need to do to further explore that? And it's very simple steps. And if it continues to be interesting to you over time, like Sarah accurately said, breadcrumbs, file it under passions. And if you do something long enough, so it happened to me when I got off stage at TEDx. That was in 2017, and that was me doing this 10 years full time. I looked around, I was like, okay, fine, I commit. I have no more questions. This has held my attention, my interest. I've been attracted to this work for the past 10 years, and the same damn things happened every single day. As in, I empty the gas tank, I go to sleep, and I wake up and it's full again for this conversation.
Oh,
The power of words and stories. I was like, okay,
yes.
I don't need to see anymore. I commit. I commit to 50 years. I'm going to do this for 50 years. And yeah, so I scroll down to January 17th, 2057 in my calendar. Took me a while to get there. And that's my last day on the job, because my first day on the job was January 17th, 2007. That's when I put my poster up at the spa and get next to all the other people that have been coaching for doing all the stuff they've been doing for a long time. And that was the day I went pro, and I got busy and stayed busy right off the bat.
Mm.
Yeah. So
That's the thing though. When you're walking, and this is, I'm gonna say it this way, walking in your purpose, not find your purpose, not at your purpose, but walking in your purpose. It just, I don't want to say easy, but it's simple. Things happen. We don't have to force them. You don't have to do all this crazy, forceful, regimented, restrictive things in order
complex shit.
Yeah, in order to make things happen. That's how you know when you're walking in your purpose. I explain it this way, your formula. So in my course, I do this with, getting to a place where you're walking in your purpose. That your purpose is in the intersection of your gifts, your passions, and your discontents. So there's something, Mark, there's something that you can't stand in the world that's simultaneously aligned with what you're passionate about and what you're good at and what you're interested in. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's a difference you're trying to make, and that's mine is that I don't like people suffering in their own emotional chains. I have a discontent for that, and I want to
Mine's
help.
boredom.
What's that?
Mine's boredom.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Most people would think it's the victim mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most people would think it's the victim mentality, or transhumanism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No,
oh my gosh.
It's fucking boredom.
Well,
because all that shit exists because people are bored.
Yo.
That's what happens when people buy into the victim mentality. They get bored. I want to help people create really entertaining stories and lives and just watch stuff.
You're right. well, it's funny because I've had deep conversations about this many times, right? I'm like, all this crap exists because we took too many problems away. Like people don't have anything to do anymore. And then they just create their own problems, right? Like now we need to have transgenders and like you said, transhumanism, and we need to have Black Lives Matter, and we need to have all these things. And it's like, you're inventing problems for you to solve because you're freaking bored. That is genius. This is what I mean.
Fucking microaggressions. Oh, you mean you're bored?
Yes. Because the thing is, this is such a deep, deep, profound truth. And I want to say, typically, on average, the truth is very simple. This is so simple. It's so true. When you're walking in your purpose, you're so preoccupied with feeling good and doing your purpose, which creates impact. You don't have time for that shit. I don't have time to talk about so-and-so. I don't have time to hear about so-and-so. I don't have time to watch the news. Oh,
I don't have
wow.
time to give a fuck about somebody's pronouns.
Seriously.
I care as much about your emotional status as I do my lunch. It's like, give it up. Give it up. You're not that important. I'm not that important. You're not that important. It's like, I'm definitely like, leave me out of it. Leave me out of your delusion.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I got stuff to do.
Yeah. It's actually a discontent of mine when people try to bring you into it, when you have no business belonging into it.
What's a weaponized conversation? It's like racist versus anti-racist. Good luck having a conversation without the word racist when it comes to racism and anti-racism. It's like the people that have devised these particular conversations, that a lot of them would fall under wokeness. They're very smart. They're very smart, and they're meaner than shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and here's why I say that. Not that they're being mean to me.
Are you referring to the people behind the scenes who create all these movements? Yes. Yes. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's because they're inflaming people's victim mentalities and also hooking into people's natural need to be a part of something, and people's, it's very normal for, children growing up to feel somewhat awkward about stuff and someone insecure. They're called growing pains, and it's not just physical. It's psychological and emotional and very normal. Shit's awkward. Oh, and here's why you feel awkward, because you're in the wrong body, and society is and we're gonna cut your dick off, and that's gonna help. Yeah, those people. But
excuse me. Worse is you can choose.
Right.
Giving human beings who are at an age level where they can't even choose what type of milk they want, the option to choose their gender, and you don't make that choice. Well,
no, it's real simple, folks. It's real simple. Here it is. It's dicks and pussies. What'd you show up with? It's like, it's real complicated. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that on a large show one of these days, and I'm just going to kick a hornet's nest.
Oh, well, what are you
going to do? What are you going to do? Come out to the country and assault me? I wouldn't suggest that. It's like,
but what are the options at that point? I mean, at some point, we don't belong in these conversations. Yeah,
it's simple. It's simple.
Like
dicks and pussies.
What grows is because we feed it, and we feed it by all this talk about it, good or bad. So I see this all the time on, you're off social media. So more power to you. But I see people, influencers who believe what we believe, all they talk about is this stuff. And I'm like, y'all are just giving it more fuel.
Here's the thing with that. Sometimes things need to be spoken into. And here's the main weapon of those conversations. Here's the substrate of those conversations. They're complicated.
We are still good.
Those conversations are the main substrate. I'm saying it again, of those conversations is that they're geared to be complicated.
That's the thing.
And then the rest is details. Okay. Here's what whether it's a woke story, or a victim-centric story, or somebody's personal story about people that never listen, that whatever it is. Okay. Here's the thing that complicated stories can never handle. So getting back to this, sounds very Taoist because it is simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
You enter into a complicated scenario with a simple tool, or a complicated conversation with a simple point, and you stick to that gun, and very good things happen. So when
mm-hmm.
I sound like Lao Tzu's brother here, when the simple is left undone, complication flourishes. Let's say that in a little less cryptic way. Let's talk about the healing space. When the praying to the 19 directions is not going to resolve the emotional trauma and residue from when you got bullied in middle school. Okay.
Yes.
Pulling a tarot card is not going to help you feel better about your dad that walked out the door. No, you need to pick a pen and go in there and write that down. And I'll bet the farm that people haven't. They haven't titled it and written it down and gotten specific and gone in there. You might have journaled about it, there's a big difference between what we do at Enlifted and regular journaling. People say, oh, look at the words. I've journaled about it. They don't say I've journaled it. I've journaled about it. And what that means is that they wrote about it in a general way and let themselves believe what's on paper. Oh, great work. Smooth move, X-Lax. You now got it in writing. They write it down and then here's the proof. Here's the proof that I'm right. No, you're writing. If you want to do the good stuff, to think about your thinking, Alan Watts said it. He said, when you learn to think about your thinking, you become alive in a new way. Mm-hmm. The fastest, bestest way to think about your thinking is to write the words out on paper and observe them. Look at the words, observe the words. Do not allow yourself to believe that story, even though part of you wants to, and part of you does. get it on paper so you can change the words, so you can change your story, so you can change your mind, so you can change your mindset. Lucky us, here at Enlifted, we actually have a definition of mindset. Yes. And go talk to people about mindset. The best in the world, most if they even have a definition of mindset, most of the time it's going to be some philosophical, big picture, clunky thing that's really hard to implement.
Yep.
Okay. You know what? That means they haven't thought about it enough.
And what they tell themselves, I just need to change my mindset. I need a better mindset.
Yeah, how?
It's like
How do you
you're
do
trade. Where do you get that from? Are you going to go buy it from the store? Are you going to trade it out for somebody else's mindset? Like in hypnotherapy, we also have a definition for mindset, and it's
Last thing. Okay. Now I can't hear you.
perplexed thinking. We're frozen
Okay,
in.
there we go.
No,
So one
that-
of us
yeah,
froze.
Yep.
So the last thing I heard was in hypnotherapy, we have what?
A definition for mindset too, and it's broken up into two words: mindset, how you set your mind. And that's a choice. It's something that we have the ability to, like you said, observe and rearrange.
Mindset's the story you tell yourself. That's what your mindset is, everybody. Real complicated. Mindset is the story that you tell yourself, to yourself, about yourself.
And about the world.
Correct. What you can do and what you can't do, and what is possible and what isn't possible, and what you do deserve and what you don't deserve. And a lot of that stuff, you know what a lot of that stuff is? Just some opinions that you created at some point in time along the line. So it's not like the stuff that rules people's world, though, they're not units of measurement. It's not like a doctor comes out with a little, baby, and they're like, oh, your daughter weighs 9, never works out for me's, and 3, fuck my lives. It's not, it's right. It's not like you're going to find why even try on the periodic table of elements.
Yeah.
These are not units of measure. They're not facts. They're opinions, they're ideas. And a lot of them are coming from, experiences we had as a child.
Parents. Yep.
And ideas that we made because so it's a lot of times it's not the story that gets us, folks. It's the meaning that we assign to the story that gets us.
Yep.
So the divorce happens, and then what does that mean about us? Oh, it means I can't trust men, or I can't trust women, or all relationships will I've got to be the man of the house now, and everybody's emotional. I'm 7, and so I've got to look out after everybody.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But it's a real thing that happens, right? Here's the thing. It's going to happen to every single one of us, myself, yourself included. The difference is, do we have the courage to reevaluate that? Do we have the courage to go back to that moment and be like, oh, okay, like it makes sense why I thought that at the time, because I was only 7, right? I only had so many internal resources at the time where I had to do that. I felt like I had to do that. But now I can say, okay, yeah, that wasn't really true.
Yeah.
I can decide what's true.
Yeah. You can change what's true, because a lot of times what people think, it's just like I said, it's just the opinion. Yes. Oh, is that factually true that you have to be the man of the family now, even though you're 7? No, that's an idea you came up with out of nowhere. And she's right about it being a courageous act, because there's going to be some sting involved. So going into stories, it's like a spicy Thai dish. Like our stories they burn going in, they smolder while they're in there, and they burn coming out. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, go to a Thai food restaurant and get the hottest thing on the menu and message me in 48 hours if everything's working correctly. And so Right. And so, because it's that afterburn, that follow through, the burn of the story coming out, most people try to, they want to avoid that. And yeah, it does take some courage in there, but you know what? It takes more courage not to do it.
Yeah.
You know why? Here's why. It's because the real scary shit is living with that for, 3-4 decades. That's the real scary stuff. Not going in there is the real scary stuff. So if you're that brave to not go into your stories, have fun.
More power to you. Well, the thing is like, it's because of coming back to vision, right? It's a short-sighted way of thinking. Because you can't see that your smoldering is creating a lifelong pain.
Yeah, correct.
But you just know that going through it, oh, that's going to hurt a little bit as I go through that in order to, by the way, truth, it's like, if it, what in the world? What in the world?
You want a fun language game on that? Say this: I've got the weight of the world on my shoulders.
Are we gonna, I just have one question. Are we gonna finish it with a positive?
Hell yeah, always.
Okay. I've got the weight of the world on my shoulders.
What kind of picture does that make?
Like, I feel like I'm crouching over. Like,
Gotcha.
I'm literally carrying the world on my shoulders.
Yeah. So that's the picture. And then the energy is heavy and
totally.
Right? I've got the weight of the world on my shoulders. The world. Take out the and put in my.
I've got the weight of my world on my shoulders. And now I just feel like I'm going like this with a flex, and I'm just seeing like all these people in my life that I'm carrying. And that has a level of ugh to it. Which
is more manageable, the world or my world?
My world.
For sure. For everybody says that. It's like, Jordan Peterson talks about and it's correlated to our language. There's a direct correlation between big picture global thinking and depression. And so when the term of racism comes up and it's the whole world that you've got to deal with, a never ending amount of racists to go out there and confront, that's depressing. It's enraging, and then rage cannot be sustained. And then it collapses into apathy and depression. And then, maybe you just need to take some hormone blockers and cut off your breasts.
Because there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, for sure. It's not something wrong with you. It's something wrong with everybody around you, and you're the recipient of it.
Right, but that's what they try to. That's what the synopsis is. That there's something wrong with you, so we've got to do this to fix you. Right, if you're in that state.
Yeah, and these people don't accept you, so you need to. Okay, so I've got the weight of my world on my shoulders. Take out world and put in words.
Oh.
I knew you like that.
I've got the weight of my words on my shoulders. Oh.
What happens when you say that?
Well, that just immediately makes me want to take action towards it.
Correct. That is one of, Sarah knows this. How many language games do we have in Enlifted?
Too many, so many, not too many, all of the things. Yes.
Tons. Remember we were talking about earlier, elementary school PE, having fun playing games. Mm-hmm. People learn that way. And
we love the word games.
They're so fun. They're so fun, and they do a very good job of, and you just listen to it. Or if you're watching this video, you just saw it, everybody. She changed out 2 words in a sentence that was very heavy. And she made a different picture, and she created a different feeling. So we talk about language a lot, not so much in this particular podcast, but in Enlifted, I know Sarah does too, and because we've had those conversations, and we can go in other directions. Now, when we talk about language, everybody, let's do a quick debrief on this. When we talk about language, we're talking about internal dialogue and external dialogue, what we think, what we say, what we write. That's your language, okay? And your language influences consistently, that's an understatement, 4 key aspects of your experience of yourself. Again, keeping things very simple. Your imagination, number 1. It's the pictures and the little mental movies that you make. Your energy, feelings, emotions, sensations, number 2. Number 3, your body language. Your language influences your body language. Talk yourself into a bad mood and stay there, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And then your breath. Your breath. And most people's breath is trapped in their chest because their language is working against them. So when you learn to think, Alan Watts said it, when you learn to think about your thinking, you become alive in a new way. And that is exactly how you learn to think about your thinking, is by playing language games like that, listening to conversations like this, picking up a pen, writing out the specific exact story of what happened when your parents sat you down and told you they were getting a divorce. Half the time, I've heard hundreds of those stories.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody remembers when that happens because it's a specific moment in time. You need to get specific. Yep. And half the time it happens in the kitchen. Sit you down at the table and pick up the 500-pound pen and title that memory and write it out conversationally, so you get the story out of your head and written down. And then you can start to do some really cool stuff with that. That's how you change that's one of the ways. It's a very reliable way of helping you change the meaning that you assign to the story, because rarely is it the story that gets us. It's the meaning we assign to the story that gets us.
Yep. And I'd like to just add on the back end of that is a level of how to do this, like how you need to play a word game or a language game is if you feel hooked in any way, right? If you feel that moment when, oh, I just got trapped in my chest. I just got hooked by an emotion that doesn't feel good. And I'm struggling getting out of it. That's how you need to go into it. That's how you need to get it out on paper and work the process. Or you've been consistently struggling with a certain habit or trend or cycle, right? That you just quote unquote can't seem to break out of. And so you find it and you get it on paper and you go through that process. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to find where that initiated itself in you. And then you can just bring that understanding into it, allows you to then rewire. This is you cross this bridge of like what we do in hypnosis as well, by going into the stories in our subconscious mind where it changed our trajectory in some way. It changed our vision of ourself away from purity, divine, into something different. This is it, guys. This is it. This is magic. It is magic.
You ever heard of Russell Brand?
Love Russell.
I'll send you my phone's out in the garage. I'll send you the picture. He posted a picture of him today with an abracadabra pendant around his
neck. Associated with you or no?
Not that I know of. And there's a chance, because I've been talking about that in detail at great length for the past decade on damn near every show I've gone on, every workshop. And you know what abracadabra means, everybody?
So I was going to say, so you must not break the trend. You must talk about it.
Yeah. Doesn't mean magic. Okay. Abracadabra is Aramaic, and it translates to with my word I create, or with my word I influence. And the teachers of the day, they would triangulate it and wear it around their neck to remind them of the power and the mechanism of the spoken word, because they knew that if they got their language working for them, things were going to be way easier. And they knew that if their language was working against them, whatever they wanted to do was going to be way harder. Most people's language is working against them, unbeknownst to them. And then, they create these pictures, stories, movies, and they're big and huge and scary, and they think they fall. It's so easy to do. The easiest thing in the world to do is to create a complicated story.
It's the easiest thing. Easy?
Oh, fuck yeah, it is. All you got to do is just go with the first thing that shows up in your head. Show me a simple story, and I'll show you something that has been refined down to its essence. Someone's put in the reps. That is simplicity is what simplicity isn't. It isn't easy. Okay. I've never said that. And when someone creates a simplified story for themselves, their breathing is going to unlock. Complicated stories, extremely stressful. Complicated stories, extremely common, extremely stressful. And the word's getting out. The good words are getting out about. That's what I wanted to say or finish saying. Yeah. So when people create complicated, scary stories, they very frequently fall into the trap of thinking that the answer to my big, huge, complicated story has to be equally as big and huge and complicated.
Yes.
That is not the truth at all. That is false. 99.99, I'm being conservative here, % of the time, it's the exact opposite. Give me a pen and a piece of paper and somebody who wants out of a story, and I'll show you that it's simple. The answer to complexity is simplicity.
Do you want to know my opinion on why people think that? And almost in some ways want it to be equally as complex?
So they can be special.
You got it. Yep. And the feeling that it has to be complex and the search for the complexity is the reason that they stay stuck.
Yeah. And then because it's a big, scary, complicated problem, it absolves them from having created it.
Yes. And then also because it has to be a complicated solution, it gives them the excuse to say, well, I can't because it's so fill in the blank.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then they don't have to really go for the thing that really lights them up and potentially fail at it. It's a safety mechanism.
Yeah. But it's ironic, right? Because we all want to be relieved of our suffering and we want it to be easy. And it's like, so instead we do, in my opinion, we do things that are harder in the long run, like medicate and run and numb and all the other things that our human ego chooses to do instead of the easy thing, which is, well, the simple thing, I should say, which is the relieving of the suffering. Yeah.
Yeah. When the simple stuff isn't done, complication shows up.
Yes.
We got two options, Sarah, because I'm in the house and all my office is out there. And I've got 9% on my battery. I can go out there and I can get the charger and we can continue. Or we can wrap it up. What do you want?
Well, I know that you have a lot to do today. And I know that we've brought a tremendous amount of value. So
it's true. This is a good conversation.
We can bring it we can bring it to a close. We always have good conversations. It's interesting to see the evolution of our conversations over time, because 2 years ago we talked all about language and stories, and now we've been able to talk more about collective level, and also leadership, quote unquote, has done it on a collective level. And I'm blessed to know you. And I know that my listeners are blessed to hear you speak every time that they do hear you speak. And I encourage everyone. And I'm going to say this because I sent, my girl Kelly to you. She's not a coach, but I was like, you go do this Enlifted course, because it's going to make you a better human. And so I don't believe that your work is just for coaches. It's for everyone, because we're all engaging with people. We're all in human relations. and human relationships, and we're in relationship with ourselves. And at the very least, you get liberated from your own stories that are keeping you trapped. And at the most, you're able to help other people do it as well, or at least help see through the absurdity of their own mind.
Thank you, Sarah. Kelly did fantastic.
Yeah, I figured she would.
Yeah.
She'll be listening to this show, by the way.
Yeah, she did. She was a pleasure to have on the cert, and she did great.
She absolutely loved it. So thank you. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for your why, which we never really got to.
I'll tell you real quick. Part of my why. There's parts to it. Part of my why is I'm a chicken shit.
What?
Yeah, I'm a scaredy pants.
What are you scared of, Mark?
I'm scared. There's only one thing that scares me in this work, and it's not to do it.
Yeah.
I'm scared of what would happen with my life if I didn't do it.
Yep.
Because there's every single arrow, period, end of story points to keep going.
Oh, you have no idea how much I resonate with that.
Yeah. Every single arrow. And if for whatever reason, if I was to flake or blow it up,
yep,
then I could. So that's part of my why. I'm scared not to do it. And then there's all the other stuff too. So.
Sure. Which is like, the gifts along the way. My biggest fear, the same with you. My biggest fear is not doing my work, not doing what I'm here to do. And so I just won't do it. I just made that decision. Not gonna live that fear.
Yeah. Another big why is just the people I get to meet through it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
When you're ready for part 3, we can do 10 sessions. We can do 10 podcasts. Wouldn't that be cool if we did it? We set a goal, because this is 2 or 3.
This is 2.
This is 2. We could do one. We could do one every 6 months. We'll have plenty of shit to talk about. By the time next time, my Amos, the Amish dairy farmer, is going to be so dialed in. I
better get to meet him on the next show.
Well, hello, Sarah. That's quite a nice microphone you have there. I'm not allowed to use one.
Yeah, no electronics.
They have weed eaters.
You know what? I will accept that. 6 months.
Cool.
It's like a 6-month little rehash.
I'm ready. I'm ready when you're ready. Yeah, there'll be current events to talk about, and I'll tell some.
And we'll have some live events too that I'll be,
come out to Richmond.
Working on making it out there. I'm coming for sure in October. So you're So, all right. Oh my gosh. You guys know where to find Mark. I'm going to post all of it in the show notes. Once again, enlifted.me still.
Correct.
Yep. Mark's not on Instagram, but the Enlifted coaches are at Enlifted coaches.
Correct.
And where else, Mark?
The Getting Lifted podcast. That's about the words.
There you go. It's always a pleasure. It's always entertaining. It's always insightful. Mark, we love you. I thank you so much.
It's 11:11. Here anyway.
Of course.
Bye, Sarah. Thanks everybody for listening.
We'll talk to you guys next time. Thank you so much for listening, guys.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Ignite the Spark Within. If this podcast brought you value, or you think it would bring someone else value, please hit that share button. My mission is to reach and help as many people as I possibly can. And you just never know who could use that one good piece of information. And hey, if you have any topics, discussion questions, or ideas for future episodes, you can reach me directly at sarah@sparkflc.com and just write podcast in the subject line. And if you haven't already, please rate the podcast on your favorite podcast channel. This helps bring awareness to the show. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you're alerted for all future episodes. Please go ahead and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And if you're interested in pursuing coaching for yourself, you can visit sparkflc.com for more information.